Welcome to Wicked Inc. Originals, your Saturday night destination for original horror stories. Turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and listen closely. Because tonight's tale might just haunt your dreams. Tonight's story: The Watcher in Apartment 6B. I live alone in Apartment 6B, a cramped, aging unit nestled on the third floor of a crumbling building on the east side of the city. The kind of place where the street lamp outside sputters with a tired, yellow glow, and the hum of distant sirens threads through the night like a restless ghost. The windows never quite shut tight here, leaving just enough of a gap for the stale city air to seep in, carrying with it the scent of rain on hot pavement, faint exhaust fumes, and the occasional waft of something burnt from a neighbor's stove. Some nights, the city feels alive, a pulse of life in the buzzing neon signs, the muffled laughter spilling from late-night bars, the clatter of distant footsteps echoing through narrow alleys. Other nights, though, the streets go silent, like the city's breath has caught in its throat. And that's when I first noticed the Watcher. It started about 2 weeks ago. I was coming home late, head heavy with exhaustion and the kind of tired that seeps into your bones. The glow from my phone lit the narrow hallway as I fumbled for my keys, desperate to get inside and shut the world out. That's when I caught movement in the corner of my eye, a shape standing just beyond the cracked window of my living room. A shadowy figure, motionless, silent. I froze, the keys slipping from my fingers onto the cracked tile floor. The figure didn't blink, didn't move, just watched. At first, I told myself it was someone waiting for a friend, or maybe a homeless person seeking shelter in the chill night air. The city wasn't kind, and shadows were easy places to hide. But as the nights passed, the Watcher never moved. Never blinked. Never wavered from that spot framed by the flickering street lamp outside my window. Always silent. Always still. The first night, I tried to ignore it. I pulled the curtains tight, double-locked the window, and turned on every light in the apartment, desperate for warmth and safety. But no matter how many lights I flipped on, I could still feel those eyes. Sleep became a stranger. I'd lie awake for hours, heart pounding, imagining the shadow shifting, inching closer. I didn't tell anyone. Who would believe me? That a shadow stood outside my window, watching, waiting? But the Watcher grew bolder. Each night, it was there. Always the same spot, framed by the cracked window pane, silent and still as death. I started checking every reflection, the mirror in the hallway, the dark screen of my TV, looking for signs of it lurking inside. One night, I found footprints on the windowsill, wet and fresh. How had it gotten that close? I live on the third floor. I told a friend about it finally, my voice trembling. Her tone was sharp, practical. Maybe it's just your mind playing tricks. Stress, loneliness. But the fear didn't fade. It only grew. It wasn't just fear. It was something worse. Paranoia that clung to me like a second skin. And then came the whispers. At first, they were barely audible, like the soft brush of a breeze against the glass. Then, clearer. My name. My secrets. How could it know? Things I buried deep. Things I never told a soul. I thought I was alone in that apartment, but the Watcher knew me better than anyone. Every regret. Every lie. Every moment I wished I could forget. Some nights, the whispers became words, taunts, warnings, reminders. You can't hide forever. The weight of my guilt pressed down on me like the thick humidity of a summer storm. I had secrets I thought were safe, locked away in the darkest corners of my mind. But the Watcher was the shadow of those secrets, cast larger and darker. The night I finally faced it, well, I don't know if I was brave or desperate. I pulled back the curtain and stepped close to the window. The shadow didn't flinch. Instead, it leaned closer, and the voice came. A low whisper, cold and heavy as iron. I've been waiting for you. It told me things only I knew. That night in college, the accident I blamed on fate but knew was my fault. The secret I hid from my family, the words I never dared speak out loud. You can't keep running from yourself, it said. The past always finds a way. I felt frozen, caught between fear and a strange, terrible relief. The watcher wasn't just a figure outside my window. It was the weight of my guilt made flesh. And then, just as suddenly as it appeared, it stepped back into the shadows and vanished. I stood there trembling, the city noises creeping back in, the distant honk of a taxi, the faint bark of a stray dog. But the watcher's presence lingers. I can still feel those eyes in every dark corner, hear those whispers whenever silence falls. I don't know what it wants: revenge? Redemption? Or just to remind me that some secrets don't stay buried. Maybe it's waiting for me to confess. Or maybe it's just waiting to watch. If you ever hear footsteps outside your window, or a voice whispering things you don't want to remember, don't ignore it. Sometimes, the watcher is waiting. Thank you for listening to Wicked Ink Originals. If you survived this story, make sure to like, subscribe, and share with your fellow brave souls. Until next Saturday, keep your lights on and your fears closer.